Live shot this morning. Yes, clouds and more rain in the forecast. We'll go over that here in just a little bit. Andy just touched upon it. And we'll have some more local news for you at the top of the hour. Joining us this morning is Steve Coleman. He is the YMCA Board President. And he joins us this morning with some very exciting news. Good morning, Steve. How are you?
All right, Luke. How are you guys this morning?
Excellent. Right. Excellent. What's going on?
Well, I think you hit it on the last one. That finally we're opening the Y. We'll have the open houses over the weekend tomorrow and Saturday, and start a kind of a soft opening next week, and have a ribbon cutting next Friday. And I think the community's going to be really pleased with what we've got to offer. And like I said, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, and let's kind of go back to the start of this process, because folks in town, I think, started to see the work done a couple years ago, or it began, and what they didn't realize was, I think the Y received a grant. And it was one of those things where they had to use that money immediately or they would lose it.
Correct.
So you had to start the project.
Right. Yeah, yesterday when Kim was calling and prepping me, I'm trying to think, why is she giving me all this detail? Well, I didn't realize she wasn't going to be able to be here. But I think you'll be talking to her at some point, and it would be really good to get that whole timeline. But I'm thinking it was all of 2 years ago we got this generous donation from the Fleming Foundation, but it had to be spent. Like, we got it in July, had to be spent by the end of the year. So rather than just slapping on an addition to the building or something like that, we started doing some of the inside things, which made sense. But, it kind of made the project start and stop. We used up that money, and we had to stop, scramble, and get some more. And but we're finally at the point where we'll...
And that created a little confusion in the community, because they saw that work being done, and they thought, oh, great, it started.
Right. Yeah, it's teased people, and, people have been asking me when it's going to be open. I remember... We thought by the end of last year, let alone prior to that, probably in many people's minds. And again, from the outside, you don't see all the stuff that's happening on the inside. And like I said, the community will get a chance to finally see that tomorrow.
That's very, very exciting.
Right.
And they've spent the last, 2 weeks moving the equipment from the old facility into the...
I think last week ago, Monday, was the last day of regular programming. And so, unfortunately, because of my work schedule, I'm able to help. Every time I walk by, there's guys loading up a truck or something like that. So I think all the items are up there now. They just have to kind of get them in place.
Tell us about the new facility. You've obviously been able to tour the building. There's parts of it you walk in, you think, okay, this is the old CAC, and then most of it, though, is new.
Oh, yeah.
And it really is very unique, and I think in a short period of time, people will associate that building with the Y.
Yeah, I haven't been in a while, and I guess two things come to mind right away, Luke. One is no stairs anymore. So that'll have appeal to people, I'm sure. Is that you go right from the parking lot in the door. There's no stairs to contend with. The other thing somebody, my wife mentioned to me, how nice would be have air conditioning. And on a day like today, and this is going to be a challenge for me because I can literally see the place from my front porch. So there's no excuses for me. But even now, air conditioning won't be an excuse. But yeah, I think one thing that'll be a little different is they're going to be a little bit more diligent. You'll need a membership card to get past or get through the greeting center or registration center. Then there's like a little bit of a deli, healthy snacks place that I'm not sure how far that is at this time. And then you've got some workout space, as I recall, right behind that. The gym is still there with some renovations and a walking track around it.
And that's probably the biggest reminder that this was the CAC.
Right.
But outside of that, as you're saying, all these new, the renovation work has just been incredible.
Yeah. You've got the locker rooms, I think, right off to the right as you go in there. And that's one thing that'll change a little bit is that no longer permanent lockers. They're like probably half the size of the old lockers, and you kind of have to just bring your stuff when you go and take it with you, which I guess is the norm. It was kind of nice to be able to have the stuff there, but so that's a little bit of a change. But yeah, again, those right off to the right. I think last time you and I were in, anyhow, I think at least that I recall, that disco ball was still hanging, so that's a remnant from the CAC. I have a feeling that might be gone, but
I hope not. You got to leave that there.
I would think, or that could have a big price tag to maybe help do some financing. But that's a reminder of the CAC, I think. But like I said, I think there's still going to be some we still have to get some recognition up for some of our givers and things like that. So, but we have to open at some point.
Absolutely.
If you wait till everything, whether you're moving into a house or whether you're doing something like the YMCA, now's the time.
And this is just one phase out of at least 3 that is planned right now.
Correct. I mean, who knows what the timetable is for that, and we even had to take out a loan to get us from here to there. So those would be down the road. But if somebody has it in their heart that, boy, we really missed the pool, if they were willing to write a check, the plans are there to have it coming right out, and I think that would go right down towards Main Street. And then the other thought is to have more space coming. I guess it would be going west from the property, where there would be a child watch area and some other things like that. But yeah, there are 3 phases on the drawings, and we're excited that we've at least accomplished number 1 and go from there.
There's plenty of room for that, though, isn't there?
Oh yeah, I think that's the thing. There is a lot of green space there that would enable that, and it would cause some shifting from parking and things like that. But yeah, that's there. It was interesting. I was at the chamber mixer last night, and someone said, "Boy, it's too bad we won't have a pool," which is unfortunate. And I said, "Gee, did you ever use it?" No, I've never used it. Because I didn't.
Too bad.
Yeah, but I know there's a crew early in the morning that has done that, and fortunately through the school district and in Burgess in the summer, there are other facilities where people can get that. But
as you said, this is a chance too for the community, and I don't think the board has really gone out saying to the community, "Hey, help support this project." I don't think it's been to that point yet. But here's an opportunity, if you want a pool there, ask, what can we do? What can we contribute? Or keep up your membership. Or if you're not a member, join. Take advantage of the facility.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, again, we've been very, very generous. People have been very generous helping us get to this point. But I think, kind of like you said, that misconception from the start was that we had funding to do everything, and that hasn't been the case. And so it's been sort of starts and stops. And like I said, I'd really like to see, as Kim's life settles at some point, a timeline, from that initial funding that caused us to scramble with architects to get things together to where we are today and where we might want to be. But we never employed a true fundraising company to help us, and so I got to think there's probably some people out there that were never asked. So I would hope they wouldn't be shy. We'll continue to accept checks to help defray where we are, help do the finishing touches, and like you said, then it'd be great to offer the other ones. I think that would be really great for the community. I mean, it's exciting time for the Y, and I mean, I use it somewhat regularly, and it's amazing how much activity goes on there. But I think the aesthetics have kind of maybe helped cause some people to maybe not go in, and I think it's going to be a real hub for the community, a nice, uplifting, good news thing for the town.
Absolutely. Mark, I think the moment they walk in, I mean, outside of the characteristics being different, just lighting.
Yeah, I would imagine
there's something about the old facility that's kind of neat, but you walk in and the place is bright, very vibrant, very colorful. Yeah, it's a different experience.
Yeah, they're gonna, and like you said, from comparing the old Y to the new Y, comparing the new Y to the CAC, it's going to be a very different experience for folks. So again, and you maybe have gone over this, but tomorrow from 3 to 5 are tours, and then 10 to 12 on Saturday morning. So that's the community's chance to really just go through without any other activities, with people just guiding them and answering questions.
Now, the question I guess becomes, when do the doors officially open?
That'd be a good question. My understanding is Monday morning. I don't know that time.
So folks who are used to working out in the mornings can look forward to Monday.
So, I think our normal hours are maybe 7 or 6, but I think there's people that have come much earlier than that, which is
let's stress Kim out a little bit more. Let's say 4. She's going to open at 4 in the morning.
Well, it may not be Kim. It may be Joe the custodian or somebody like that has to unlock the place. But I think Monday is at least a little bit that I know is Monday morning's the day when people can start using it, and then just because of things that are going on in the community, Friday was the time at 12:15 that we're going to actually do the ribbon cutting. But
now, you manage Northwest Savings Bank here in town.
Yep.
So you're involved in a lot of development. To get a project like this accomplished in this environment, that's a pretty big success story right there, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. I mean, again, and really, I hope I'm correct in this, but there was some monies that helped us acquire the St. Titus campus that were related to government funding. But I think everything else is pretty much private funding, and that says a lot for our community. I mean, I think a lot of times we think we're down and things like that, but I think when people believe in things, they roll up their sleeves and do it, whether it was when I was talking about the driller here a few years ago, whether it's something as big as this project. And so it's exciting. It's a really exciting thing for the town.
Yeah, that's a good point you brought up, because it was just a couple years ago, and that was a project that was at least, what, 50,000?
50, 60,000, something like that. Yeah.
And that was to restore the driller at Woodlawn Cemetery, and I mean, that was something that was in desperate need of repair.
Yeah. And that was a neat one, because I'd go in my office on Sunday nights and there'd be $10 checks and there'd be big checks, and hopefully that will continue to be the case for the Y, so that we can continue to make upgrades there. And, I grew up in Kane, which is a town not too a little bit smaller, but not too dissimilar to Titusville. And I remember growing up and going to the Y as a kid, and I don't think I was through high school and it had closed. So I think we shouldn't take it for granted. I mean, it's a nice facility for us to have, and for people of all ages to be a part of it. And I think that's the thing I know Kim has. I'm trying to think the name of Silver Sneakers program.
Yeah.
And you've got that all the way down to Tiny Footsteps, and everything in between. And I know my wife and I, I'm ashamed to say, neither of us are swimmers, but boy, we made sure our son was there doing that at a very young age. And again, we'll miss that for a while, and hopefully that won't be a real long time.
But as you said, you recognize the need for that, so discussions have been taking place prior to this with the school district and with Burgess to make sure that those folks have a place to go.
I think the word I've heard, again, I'm not a swimmer, so I don't know this, but I think the high school pool is more of a competitive pool, so the temperatures kept cooler, and ours was a nice, comfortable temperature.
120 degrees.
So that was a shock to some of us, especially as we age, especially at some ungodly hours that these people go swimming at 5 in the morning or something like that. So that would be an adjustment, but at least there's alternatives, as opposed to saying, sorry, it's gone. But I think back a couple years ago, I was going to the Y, and we've got some great staff members, and I think we're going to be adding a little bit to staff to accommodate some of our growth. But Wes Shaver's just a really nice young man, and I remember having him come out as a board member. I thought he should know that that one of the stairs had crumbled outside, and it probably had crumbled years ago, let alone that day. But I was concerned about a liability. But just things like that. That building has led a good life, but I think it's time that another chapter start.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting, because this new chapter, I think there's a lot of possibilities. You mentioned, and it sounds dumb, you mentioned no stairs. Mm-hmm. The Silver Sneaker program, you have to worry about older folks needing to go upstairs, or to even go up and watch a basketball game, or watch grandkids play.
Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, really, there was no way to access that building without going up or down. And I think maybe with the pool there was a way in special situations, but otherwise, stairs have been a part of the situation, so that goes away. And
the walking track at the newer facility seems to be a big attraction as well. Is that new? I'm not real familiar.
Well, we've had one over the gymnasium in the old Y, so it's not new from that perspective, but I'm looking forward to it too, Mark. It'll just, I think it's a little bit different surface it is a different surface than the normal gymnasium, and then it just kind of surrounds the gym. Yeah. So again, there's when folks go to the open houses, there's schedules of activities and classes and things like that. We're going to try to optimize the facility. There's programs for beginners to advanced folks in the exercises or whatever the case might be.
And not to mention just more space in the gym.
Right.
You can inbound a ball and have room.
Well, yeah, just, I think a regulation-sized gym. I mean, that one wasn't. And then, I think my understanding recently the senior league's been 4-on-4 just because you get adult bodies there. It was pretty tight.
Yeah. So has there been discussion on, now that and I'm sure there's a lot going on, but now that the building's open, there's probably a lot of ideas in terms of new programming that can be brought up. Has those things been discussed fully, or were they just kind of waiting to get into the building first?
I would have to say probably the latter, though I'm sure minds are spinning, and I know there's a thought. In fact, I think it's called Spinning. There's a program you can get with bikes that people like and things like that. But again, money enters into that stuff too. So I think this will allow us to have some new alternatives there. But I'm not probably the best person to answer that question.
On the radio side, we're going to take a quick time out. We'll come back and have more with Steve Coleman. On the TV side, we'll stay here. We're talking with Steve Coleman, Board President of the YMCA, and the new facility that's opening up this weekend. You can tour. We'll have more information on that in just a moment. This is The Morning Drill on Stream Television and on the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network.
You know, it's got to be pretty nice in the position that you're in to be able to see all of this happening, to know that you've got a team of people underneath that have been scurrying to make all this work.
Yeah.
How many folks do you think are involved in all of this?
Wow. I don't know, and I'm embarrassed. My work schedule kind of has prevented me being hands-on, but I've heard about a lot of people, board members, just citizens, staff, just really stepping up and making that move. And so it's been neat, and I think that's just part of the excitement. And that's some of the young people that I've heard be involved. It's sort of like, I've benefited from this Y, so it's my chance to give back.
Well, and that's something else that comes up too. This Y has been such part and parcel of Titusville for such a long time. You can hardly imagine a town, any town, much less Titusville, without the Y around. This has got to be really exciting. Yeah,
it's an exciting thing for the community to have, and I've been on the board way too long. In fact, this is the third time. I thought it was like the hospital, and you had a 9-year term and you had to get off. Well, I've learned that isn't the case, but Tom Roden, who's relocated, really was the president that really got this off and running and really was passionate about it, was really raising funds. And then he had some health situations, and I think they've relocated to Edinburgh, and I sure hope he's able to be a part of our ribbon cutting, because he's the guy that had the vision, but because of his move, it was sort of like one more time. But and that's okay. But no, it is exciting, and I got to think for the staff, it's exciting. There's a melancholy part of it as far as leaving. Like for Kim, this has been her career. Out of college there from day one. But and I don't know if you had the chance, but she was talking about getting a virtual tour of the new place. I said, why don't you try to get one of the old place? Yeah. Kind of for the archives of what it used to be now, and not just physically, but the activities that occurred.
That's a good idea.
And that may be too late to happen, but it is exciting, and I think I hope that the community really enjoys it.
What happens to the old place now that you mention it?
Yeah, that's been one of the more popular questions, and I think number one, the timeline has had us defer that, because you can't ask somebody to do something when we might be out here, we might be then. But we've met with the Redevelopment Authority, a couple folks, and they've reached out to some developers. I really don't know if anything will materialize or not. We hope something. We'd like to see that not just demolished, but by the same token. And I wish I knew the age of the building. I'm thinking 90 years or something like that. I mean, it's a building that's lived a life. And again, we talked about the stairs and things like that, the improvements it would take. But we'll see if somehow somebody steps up to do something there, or even more in the block. But there's a hope that something continues. But I think that couldn't be a reason to impede us from doing what we needed to do.
Oh, I'm certain. It would be a real sensation, I guess, if it were not there, if the building were not there. People have come to really see that.
Yeah, and that's the one challenge. I mean, I think where we're at will be fine. It'll be adapting, but it is nice to have it right in the cornerstone of our downtown. You've got the banks, you've got the post office, you've got the Y, everything right together. So we're a little bit out of that business district, but that's just the way things played out. But so it'd be nice if that building could somehow continue to be utilized. But
Mark keeps wanting me to move the stream studios to the Y.
Okay.
So he'd have a pool and a gym.
Yeah. Well, I think that it could be had for a reasonable sum.
Luke deals in jelly beans. I don't know if you're aware of that.
So all this excitement going on, Stephen. This is a big weekend for the Y. Kind of recap again the times that people can tour the building, and we believe that Monday morning, the doors will officially open.
Right. And I'm sure that question will be answered during the tours. The tours are 3 to 5 tomorrow on Friday, and 10 to 12 on Saturday. And ribbon cutting is next Friday, the 20th at 12:15. But my understanding, and I feel pretty confident in saying this, is that Monday morning it'll be open to the public, kind of a soft opening, but for lack of a better time, I would guess 7, but that could become 6 or 8 or whatever. But that's people's chance that have been out of it. I have an employee that drives in every morning from Chapmanville, does her stuff, drives home and comes back. So Monday morning, if it's 7, it'll be too late for her. But I think people can get back into their routines.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
What's next? Is it just making sure everything runs smoothly over the next couple months, or is it jumping right into working on finishing phase 1 and beginning phase 2?
Yeah, I think it's getting things in place and smooth. And from my perspective, and again, the staff may have a totally different thought of it, but they're right in the middle of all the summer programming. So I think first and foremost would be everybody to just kind of catch their breath, and then we need to get in a situation where we're feeling comfortable financially well before we get into doing. But we need we apologize to any donors that aren't recognized when they get in there tomorrow, as far as some of the folks that have been very generous. That's going to happen, but the ones, I think Kim's reached out to them, and people are saying, she mentioned one individual, I won't name him, but that just said, no, absolutely. So get those doors open,
And that's been the attitude from the start. Here's some money.
Right.
Get it open.
Do it, yeah. And I think there's been some impatience. In fact, we had a donor that reduced his gift incrementally as time passed because he realized the inefficiency we're going through right now. We were operating 3 facilities, even if the new facility was at a low temperature all winter, and the winter that we just experienced,
right.
There was a utility bill there, you had staff at 3 different places and all that stuff. So we need just to kind of get things into the new normal, I guess, at this time.
Alrighty, again, that's taking place tomorrow, the open house, 3 to 5, and then on Saturday, what time Saturday?
10 to 12, and like I said, for those that are active members or curious, find out the specifics on Monday, and I apologize, I didn't think to ask him that, but like I said, my understanding is Monday we're open for business.
Steve, congratulations. This has been a long time coming.
Sure has.
Been a lot of hard work, a lot of folks behind the scenes working hard to make this happen, so
yeah. Well, like I said, I probably am the least as far as deserving the appreciation, but the staff's been great. They've been persistent, and the board's, I think, had a good vision to work together, and it's nice when something like this finally comes together, and I think it's going to be a great day for the community and a great asset for the community.
Absolutely. I just see a lot of folks taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I do too.
Of all ages. All ages.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be great, and I think it'll be a real hub of the community.
Alrighty. Thank you very much.
All right.
Good luck.
Good to see you guys.
Hey, coming up next, we're going to be joined by our friends at Joe Taylor Ford. They've been busy working on their facility. Plus, it is summer, and people are starting to look at their vehicles going, maybe it's time to upgrade a little bit. Showers and thunderstorms likely today, mainly afternoon, mostly cloudy, 77 for a high. We'll have all the weather details coming up in just a few moments. We'll also take a look at what's making news here this morning. On the radio side, we have Fox News at the top of the hour, and then local news with Mark Heim and Andy Alm this morning. And we'll be joined by our friends at Joe Taylor Ford. Also next hour, Titusville Arts Council have been very busy. The Monday night concerts in the park are underway, youth theater underway, and Hoda Fest just a few weeks away. We'll talk all about that next hour when the Morning Drill continues here on Stream Television and on the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. WMGW Meadville, WTIV Titusville, WFRA FM Franklin.
It's fun to stay at the Y.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Stay at the Y.